And so, once again, we're here to welcome you all to the Anime Sovereigns podcast. This is episode number 13. Before we get started on what we're going to be covering today, first I want to say thank you for supporting the past two videos, the award episode for summer 2022 and also the sampler for fall. Both of those videos, broke 100 viewers, which is like a pretty big milestone for such a small channel. And so we really appreciate you guys checking them out, and hope that you continue to check out the videos in the future, because there's actually like the library is like building up pretty well. Like we're 12 episodes out there, minus 3 because the OP episode got axed into oblivion. I mean, I still have it, but it's the episode 3 you can actually check out on my Twitch. Like it's still there as a VOD, but I can't upload it to YouTube because they
will explode, bro.
Yeah, it's actually like they blocked that shit so many times. Like it's just out of control. So thank you guys for that, and also a quick reminder that we do have a Discord, and so if you want a community to be a part of in terms of anime and everything, especially if you're looking for recommendations, I will leave our Discord link in the description of this video. I'll post it in chat now as well for any stragglers I haven't joined up in there. I think it's a really cool place to be. Without further ado, today's episode is going to follow a little bit different of a format than we usually do. Most of the time we're doing like deep dives on very intricate topics, or show coverage in terms of like seasons, things that are airing. This time around, there's like actually a good amount of news. There's like just a lot of news that is either directly dealing with anime or anime adjacent that we figured would be good for us to kind of update you guys. We've never done like a current events format, so we decided to give it a try. And this is actually like kind of a good week for this to happen because we're actually missing Dylan because he had work, I believe. And Miguel is just, I don't know, he's just in the void.
Miguel is sleeping. If he wakes up, he might be here later, but that's just the way he rolls sometimes.
And so at least for the time being, it's gonna be me. It's going to be me, Jeffrey, and Bobby kind of holding it down. We're going to go over some topics and kind of just talk about some stuff. Really conversational.
Yeah. Honestly, there was a lot more to go over than I initially thought there was going to be.
Yeah, there's a lot.
The last 2 weeks since we did like the last.
Oh, hey!
There he is. He's here. He's awake.
He's here. We got Miguel. Hello.
We gotta speak.
Don't laugh. Don't fucking laugh. All right, bro. This fucking guy. This is insane. But you got here right before we were about to go over the first topic, so that worked.
Hey, yo, I did it. So
that
clutch.
Worked.
You did. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah.
All right, let me stream in Discord so we can stay.
Synced. Anyways, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by Miguel's entry. But
you made the Discord go pudding.
Pudding. Anyways, so this was a very eventful 2 weeks since we did the.
Okay, listen, I pressed the streaming button in Discord, that shit exploded. What the fuck?
Dude, honestly,
what was that?
It's pretty normal. Discord's kind of cringe when it comes to streaming stuff.
It's these fucking Halloween updates, man. They can't.
I think it's appropriate that we start off a new content segment by stealing content. So let's talk about the Anime Trending Awards.
There you go. So awards are something that are resonate really closely with us because the whole point of the Sovereign Awards is kind of to break the mold when it comes to award shows, because a lot of things that are just kind of do these people actually watch anime at all? I find myself questioning that whenever I look at a lot of award shows and what gets nominated and what what I mean. I just think do these people actually do they know? Do they know? The meme, does he know? That's what I feel like. It's so,
part of me thinks that they do know to some degree, but they're just trying to obviously a lot of award shows are just popularity contests. True. And that thing is kind of unavoidable, especially if you have a very large platform. And we're not going to mince words. We have a very big problem with the Crunchyroll Awards in particular.
Yes.
That's kind of like the biggest inspiration for
Yes.
why we do what we do. And just a brief like explanation. Not going to go too deep into it, but it's probably the Crunchyroll Awards is probably like the worst instance of a popularity contest because one, like the nominees that they pick are like pretty arbitrary, like not really like based on any like evaluation of the shows in terms of like actual quality. And they tend to be like very biased towards the shows that are streaming on their platform as opposed to other platforms.
They
Like
kind of just don't even show other shows. Really.
Yeah, it's conflict of interest. Like,
yeah, usually like for like the anime of the year in particular, that they will be very, very biased towards the shows that are on their platform, as opposed to like Funimation in the past, like Crunchyroll and Funimation had that merger, so that maybe that'll be like less of an issue. But there are still shows on like High Dive, and
and like really good shit. Like High Dive has gotten a lot of good shit recently too. So it's
Summertime Rendering wasn't like that. I think that was a really good show that like should be nominated, and probably won't be.
Yeah, but so right now we're talking about this thing called AniTrendz, which if you're unaware, this is like a pretty like involved like community when it comes to like seasonal stuff and like keeping caught up on just like anime news in general. It's honestly like a pretty good like group if you like want to like casually follow anime nowadays. But they also do their own yearly award show. This is their ninth iteration of that, and the way they do it is still like a popularity contest. But I will give them credit because it's definitely like a better way of doing it in my opinion. Like the way that their anime awards is set up is that they do votes every season for like the top shows of any given season. The top 4 shows are nominated for the end of the year awards. They also have 1 spot for a carryover show, so like a 2-core show that carried over from 2021, which in this case is Ranking of Kings. And they also have like this last chance qualifier type round where the 5th most popular show of each season will get nominated for 1 spot in the end of the year awards, and also shows that were released outside of the simulcast season. So like think Cyberpunk Edge Runners that was released all at once on Netflix. That will also be nominated for this because the regular nominees are all like parts of the simulcast season. So
so one thing out of the gates is like I do really commend them because I think one of the most annoying things when it comes to award shows is kind of lack of transparency and lack of like true structure. And so like they at least like set a designated amount of slots for each season, and I think like that already in and of itself like goes a long way. I think some people would disagree with the notion of having like a set amount of slots for each season, because obviously some seasons can just be straight up better than others. But I think in terms of like if you're trying to structure an award show, like having like set guidelines like this like goes a long way, for sure. There's some things on this on these lists, of course, will like I don't think anyone's award show is perfect, of course not, because at the end of the day it's humans. We're all human at the end of the day. But I this is much better than like this is already like much better than like any CR awards I've ever seen, like by far.
Yeah, for sure.
This is already much better. That being said, I don't know, like looking at this list, like it's interesting because first of all, this year went really quickly, and like some shows like I find myself thinking like, wow, that was really this year, huh? That was like that was actually this year. Like I forgot Dress Up Darling was this year. I forgot that Akebi was this year, because it feels like it was so long ago, right? It was in winter, so it's like that just kind of happened a long time ago. But like that was
quite literally like 9-10 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, damn, it's like really kind of went through it when it comes to these shows. But surprising things on the list that I noticed. I don't know about you guys, but firstly, like I didn't expect Shadow's House to get this type of love, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Squeezed in.
Yeah, I think we were all expecting like Mid and Abyss to like be like in the top 4 of like summer season, like to like we were thinking like it's gotta be, but like I was surprised that Shouts House beat it out. Like, more just the thought that like more people like watch this show probably like than Made in Abyss, because like not this is not a knock on Shouts House, because I think it's a very, very good show.
Yeah.
But like Made in Abyss like was our like personal like best of season between us, and I think everybody who watched it was just like in awe of like what happened with that season.
Yeah.
But it's a second chance qualifier, which I hope it gets that spot. I think out of everything that would get that spot, I would hope it would be that. But if you ask me, I think that spot would probably go to Cyberpunk Edge Runners at the end of the day.
Probably. Just like predicting based on popularity for sure. And like honestly, like it's like one of those things where I'm not hurt. I'm not hurt by it. And you shouldn't be hurt by anything in an award show, because at the end of the day, you should like what you like. And if you truly think something is quality, then some arbitrary award show does not validate or discredit, the hard work that was put into those shows.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like, Abyss being at this point my favorite series, it is kind of polarizing. And like it's a show that like not everyone can watch, and so like I completely understand like why it wouldn't necessarily pop up in an award show like this, because like it's a lot and it's a sequel series on top, like season 2, so like you naturally I think have a smaller audience when you talk about those things, whereas the other 4 that were nominated for summer, like I think they kind of makes sense. Like if Licorice and if Licorice was not on this list, then like I think I would have a really big problem. Call of the Night.
One funny story. So like they tell you the votes at the end of every season, and like this goes back into like how transparent they are about it. They like tell you the number of votes that each show got. Licorice won Anime of the Season by 4 votes, I believe, over Call of the Night. I'm like, bro,
that's sick.
That's
really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Call of the Night got the love that it deserves, honestly, because
absolutely.
It's like one of those shows that's like we were talking about shows that are kind of eccentric, and kind of weird. Like it is kind of weird in the way it conducts itself, and so like I think sometimes it could be off-putting to people, but it's cool to see people appreciate it for what it is. I think it's a super unique show.
I'm kind of surprised that for spring 2022 the Tomodachi game made it over.
Okay. I'm not. Okay.
Dude, Comey, people like Comey though. That's the thing. So I don't know.
The thing is, right? Summer. So the thing is, the word that I would choose is not surprised, right? I'm not surprised that Tomodachi game is on this list. I'm disgusted that Tomodachi game is on this list, because like. It was very popular. Like it was a show that a lot of people talked about, and I think that is natural, because it kind of banks off of kind of normie pop culture, like because I'm just bridge the gap, right? This is like kind of one of the shows that people latch on to commonalities that they realized in like other TV show mediums. So like Squid Game, right, was like what really came to mind. Was like people watch Squid Game and it was like kind of a cultural phenomenon, and now there's an anime that kind of is aiming to do a similar thing, and I think like for that reason like people latched onto it really, really hard, even though I don't think the show was good at all. But that being said, it was something that people talked about every week, and it ends up towards the top of the popularity.
Well, it's like the thing, like they picked the top 4, so like Spy, Kaguya, and Summertime are locks, obviously. And then like it's like Comey, Shield Hero, which none of us watch because we don't really like Shield Hero like that. But like it was still a part of the season.
Like so I mean
the main thing in spring is like no dance, sir, right?
Yeah, no, I was about to mention like because I mean it's the same story with like Made in Abyss in summer, right? I think that at the end of the day, these are still like compiled by votes. So even if the community that is deciding to vote for this, like obviously Crunchyroll awards, they're way more accessible. People like normies and like just a lot of people use Crunchyroll. So it's just like, oh yeah, they're like doing these award things. I'll give them my vote. But like to find something like this, you have to kind of be in the trenches, you have to go out of your way.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, like you're kind of like into anime. Now, even then though, there's still like the matter of accessibility that exists where it's like, okay, there's Made in Abyss is obviously incredible, but also at the same time, there's certain things. Well, there's some like content warnings that you kind of have to put on.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Probably turning people off.
Yeah.
Dance Dance Dancer obviously was an incredible show that like got very little love because I don't know if it was like the art style or like the premise was just kind of like turning people off, but like you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's like even here there's still things that are getting undeserved love, and I do appreciate this obviously because it's way better than what Crunchyroll puts out.
Absolutely.
But it's just like, you know, at the end of the day, they're doing it by votes, and so these votes are kind of like just by dudes, you know, and so the more popular shows are because like Kaguya, right, is like the top of spring 2022, and it's because like, have you seen the stats? Like a lot of people watch this show.
True.
One thing that I want to like commend like the anime trending awards on that other award shows like kind of like don't is that they do like weekly votes, and like this is like important because the problem with popularity contests is that like the voters like, you know, field of vision is only limited to like things that they are either watching or have seen in some capacity. And the benefit of like weekly votes is that you get to see like what are the top 10 shows of each given week. And so like, you know, if you like keep up with like the account and like the community votes, you will like see some shows that like, you know, you might not have tried otherwise. So like, for instance, like the first week, this is just an example, but like Bocchi the Rock was like number 8 of the first week of this season. I have a feeling that a lot of people like picked up the show because of that, because they saw the show and they saw that people like, you know, thought highly enough of it to like, you know, for it to be in the top 10 of the first week of the season. And so like that type of thing, like I feel like is very good for making like the end of the season and the end of the year votes like a little bit more like, you know, accurate to like just so that people have like seen more things, because, you know, like and we're not like, you know, exempt from this. Like we only like know things that like we've watched, but we tend to watch more things than the average like anime viewer. So like I feel like we have like a more informed opinion on most other shows that people just wouldn't have. But this helps a lot, like, because you know, if you don't see it, then obviously like you're not even gonna know like it exists. Like I was talking like before we started the cast that I was telling people about like Bocchi the Rock, and they had never even heard of it. And I feel like, you know, this kind of like, you know, helps with that because it's getting that like visual recognition that people are watching the show and they think it's very good. So
yeah, I was I like, obviously I think I mean, we're obviously gonna do our own anime of the year thing, and like maybe like we do that, but like what if we also like do some type of voting, and don't let it impact like the things we choose for awards, but like it would be cool to see like the community choice along with you know, like alongside of our choice, just 'cause I think it's interesting how things can differ, like sometimes very drastic, sometimes very drastic in some cases, and like there's a lot of good stuff this year really, this year of anime has been pretty insane if you take a look back at the volume of quality stuff that we had. And so like there's a lot of stuff that I feel like is not gonna get appreciated, just like the sheer volume, but man, it's like so much to cover. Like I
stay alive.
Yeah, I can't. It's like this is taking me out of everything. You put Abyss next to Date Alive, like come on, brother. Like, don't let me get me out of here, brother. But it'd be like that.
Out of this Abyss, bro.
Yeah, I don't see any of these shows beating Cyberpunk. I just don't think it's realistic, because like Cyberpunk I think was by far the most talked about, like one of the most talked about shows this year. Like it
people who do not watch anime watch Cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly. So I assume it'll win that, but we'll keep tabs on that and see where it goes with them. But definitely shout outs to AniTrendz. They're definitely one of the good ones.
A handful of things I disagree with like the AniTrendz awards, but like, you know, I think they're doing a good job, you know. Like they probably like run like the most like, you know, thoughtful popularity contest that I've seen.
Yeah.
Is the best way I can put it.
And that there is value in that for sure. Like you know, qualms aside, but All right, so moving on to our next topic. Oh yeah, okay. So, for those of you who don't know,
Hey.
Made in Abyss Season 2 OST is now available worldwide on Spotify, as well as the previous 2 OSTs from the original series and the follow-up movie 3, which is of course canon. And this is a big deal. And this is a big deal for 2 reasons. One, truthfully, I believe it is the best soundtrack in anime overall. The second reason is that previously, there were a lot of people in certain countries that could not access these playlists because they weren't worldwide. And so, like, if you were in certain countries, you just like couldn't listen. It goes just grayed out. You just grayed out on Spotify, and you were just kind of fucked. And so, like, they have since made all 3 worldwide, and you're actually listening to it right now, and it is pretty incredible. I've listened to it probably like 3 or 4 times. Like literally just like sitting and listening to it and nothing else, with no distractions. And
that's
it
powerful,
is,
bro.
yeah, it is very like I can feel how it impacts me as a person as I listen. And like, you know, some of you are gonna be like, man, this dude is such a nerd, like what the fuck is he talking about? But like both the series and its music, me being a giant music nerd, I have a very important place in my heart. And Kevin Penkin is really just, he's that guy. Is the best way I can put it. He's out here. He's a giant goofball, but I definitely have a big appreciation for his work. And so if you have not listened to it yet, I definitely recommend, you know, getting yourself you know, something to drink, sit down and just give it a listen. It is pretty long. Like I think it's
like almost 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like 2
it's
hours.
like
Yeah. So
33 tracks or something.
Yeah. And like that's also like kind of like not surprising, but like you know, there's just so much. Like
some of the tracks are really long too.
Yeah, they're like they're
some of them are like
7-minute
5, 6, 7
yeah,
minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And like
I'm curious, what favorite tracks? I don't know, Bobby. I don't know if you listened to it yet. Favorite track?
Well, you go first because I feel like you would have done most of the share about this.
So I upon my first few listens, my favorites that I were like that. So like when I listen to music, sometimes I have just kind of that visceral response of like this is it. You know what I mean? Like this is hitting really hard for me. And amongst that, there were 8 songs that I like added immediately. They're like immediately like I was like, okay, I need to have this. Of those 8 songs, the ones that stuck out the most to me were Joraimo Mutation, Gravity, of course. I think Gravity is like a must add for everyone.
Absolutely.
And Dance Narihate were like the ones, like the 3 of the 8 that I was like, okay, these are I'm gonna listen to these on repeat multiple times over and over again. And speaking of Joraimo Mutation, like I don't know if you guys saw this, but this is
I absolutely saw this.
This
is crazy.
Kevin Penkin released what his project files looked like for this song, and if you know anything about music production, this is insane.
I don't know.
1,000 signature changes, dude.
Yeah. This is like
what is time,
right,
bro?
This switches time signatures 80 million times, and like you see just how many instruments go into this, right? Like, and that's like I think what draws me to his style of composition is that first of all, he's a big strings guy, and I'm a sucker for good strings, but like he used some really interesting stuff. Like he just some like random ambient sounds that he implements into his music that I'm just like, okay, that was just what the hell was that? Was that a creature screaming? Like what was that?
Yeah.
Like
I always see him like post about like, you know, he just like wants to like use this like new thing that like he just like recently got familiar with. Like, oh man, this sounds like super cool. What if I added it into the song, bro? I heard he was like talking about like tin whistle or like Celtic whistle like as his most recent thing. I'm like, dude, this guy is like always like trying to like experiment, and he just get like the way he talks about music like reminds me of like, you know, how like, you know, kids would get into music because like it's so whimsical the way he like sees music, and you know there's something to like be said about like a composer who still feels that magic that music can bring to anything. And you know,
Yeah,
it's not something you see like in a lot of places, because I feel like people who like compose music kind of like try to go for like a certain style, a certain brand, but like he always like dares to like try something new and bring something like new to the table, even in a very like established like soundtrack like Made in Abyss, because you know.
Yeah, agreed.
It's it's like not an overstatement to say that Made in Abyss is like, you know, widely listened to as a soundtrack nowadays.
Yeah, for good reason.
But this new one is like, it's not the same. Like
it's not.
There's some similarities, but like, man, if you really give it a listen, just like, man, like it characterizes the second season so well.
It does.
And I'm like, oh.
What was your favorite through your list? Like if you had to pick a single favorite.
A single favorite for me, like I feel like I have to like, you know, exempt Gravity from this, because I feel like that's kind of cheating.
That's fair. It's like for those of you who don't realize what we're trying to say with Gravity, like Gravity is like you're gonna add Gravity to your playlist. It's similar to Hanazeve Cardina in season 1, right? Like you're gonna listen to this song. So it's definitely cheating.
They're both like those tracks that like played in the first episode during like, you know, that moment where like you really feel introduced to the world, and you know, part of me thinks that like that is kind of cheating, so I'm going to exempt Gravity from that, I think. But other than Gravity, I think my favorite track was Echo's theme. Like, there's a track called Vueko in the OST, and it's obviously meant to be like, you know, the theme of the character. And the reason I like it so much is because of how I can like feel like the journey of like Vueko like through the track. Like I'm gonna try to explain this like the best I can without the track actually playing. But at the beginning, like the instrumentation is like, you know, very like, you know, devoid of hope. It's very like aimless, and it feels like very lost, which I feel like characterizes like Vueko in her early days, like that we see in the show, where she just doesn't know like where to go. She feels like she has no purpose, and she's very lost. And the musicality really reflects that, where it just like goes back and forth over and over and over again without any direction. But there's this point in like the middle of the song where all of these like seemingly like random sounds like kind of just come together and form actual music. And like this is kind of like indicating like the point in her story where she kind of like she's able to like see her own value, you know, because like, you know, value is like a very important like thematic backbone of this second season. And like that transformation from like, you know, being very like lost and directionless to like, you know, actually like sounding like extremely like beautiful in a very delicate way is just like, it's so good. And it honestly made me feel more connected to the character, because I feel like Vueko wasn't like, you know, the spotlight character of Made in Abyss season 2. Like many people will like point towards like Faputa and like the main trio when they think about like characters, but like, you know, this track like made me think more about Vueko than I did when I watched the actual show, which I feel like is a very, very powerful thing that music can do.
Agree.
So that would be like my favorite one.
Miguel, did you already say your favorite?
No, I didn't yet. Obviously Gravity. So like that was like the first one I listened to because Jeffrey had mentioned it already. I was like, okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I don't think I've listened to the whole thing yet because I have a long drive in the morning, so I just kind of played it. And like I found myself just listening to some of the ones I liked more. So
I respect that.
Yeah, so I actually haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but I listened to a good chunk of it. The super standout ones were obviously Gravity. I like Joromo's Motivation. I like I Am Burning Man a lot.
Mutation,
yeah, Mutation. I Am Burning Man.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people talk about I Am Burning Man.
That one. I'm way less knowledgeable about music than you guys, but I just know I got a visceral reaction. I was like, what
I don't even think you need to be like knowledgeable about like music to like know like why I'm Burning Man is like such like it's also one of those like musical like mutant type of songs, like Geronimo Mutation. Like the thing about like I'm Burning Man is that like if you just like give it a listen, you can kind of like tell that like there's like this heartbeat that's going on in the background. It just like you can like feel it in like your own heart, and it's very haunting because like there's like this chant that goes like Oyasumi Mama, which is like you can kind of like tell like this was supposed to like represents like I feel like Iramui and like Faputa. And also like Velko too, because I feel like Iramui like saw like Velko as kind of like a mother figure.
Yeah, absolutely.
In their time in the Abyss, so like it's like multi-layered in that way, but it's so creepy, and it's one of the tracks that like best represents like that what the show does in like warping the characters' values into like very like grotesque forms.
Yeah.
In musical form, and like dude, it was so crazy. I got like. My fight or flight was activated. I'm like, dude, why is it so creepy?
That shit fucked me up. I was like, oh god.
And I got two more shout outs. Balaf Lullaby and then the Eyes of Irumi.
Yeah, they did amazingly with character.
Those were like the 5 favorites, I think.
Like, yeah, I think they did a really good job of like choosing musicality that represents the characters in a very like I can like Eyes of Iramui, like I can see that relation between her and the song. Like that's super cool. I think.
I'm a sucker for character themes. This is why like Vueko is probably like my favorite track because of how much it says about the character and how much I didn't like feel for the character until I listened to it like in full. And I'm like, oh, powerful.
Bobby, have you listened to any yet? Or?
No, I have not, but I will be.
A story I want to share, like in regards to like the Made in Abyss OST. So like as we said, like the full like season 1, movie 3, and season 2 soundtrack are now available worldwide where they were not previously, which is a big deal. But there is like a period of like a few days where season 1's OST was taken off of Spotify for us, and like the way I found this out was so one morning when because like I take the train to work, so I get to like listen to like music a lot when I'm on the train, and I was like, dude, like Made in Abyss season 2 OST like drops in like a few days. Why don't I like listen to like the first season and the movie 3 soundtrack just to like prepare for it, just because I feel like that's appropriate. And I literally saw like the tracks that I had in my playlist disappear from my playlist. Like I think I clicked on a song and then it didn't play. I'm like, dude, what's up? And then I saw them get grayed out. I'm like, what? What? No, what's happening? And I was like scrambling to like figure out what was going on, because obviously that type of thing is like very concerning for like a character that or a composer that we hold in like very high regard, like Kevin Penkin. Like we want his music to be accessible to everybody, us especially, because we need to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I saw that the season 1 soundtrack was just taken off. Like I was trying to find out if it was just like on my end, or if anybody else worldwide was experiencing the same thing. And then I found out like a few hours later that it was just taken off of Spotify. I'm just like, bro, I am literally malding. Why is this happening? Like, what's gonna happen with like? Is there something gonna like happen with like the season 2 release? Like, what's going on? Thankfully, like my worries were like laid to rest like pretty quickly, where Kevin Penkin announced that not only is the season 2 OST going to be released on time as planned, but the rest of the OST was just going to be made available worldwide as well. And I'm just like, bro, that's the GOAT, bro.
It was like, this was like one of the situations, and like I don't think we get these very much, where like I feel like the literal best case scenario happened with it. Like our reactions to season 1 getting taken down, like there's a lot of things that can happen with it for a lot of different reasons, especially when it comes to like musical licensing and record companies and whatnot. But this felt like a really happy ending. we actually got like kind of like the best case of everything to happen, so I was definitely pretty pleased.
Sure. I was like, when I saw that like Kevin was releasing everything, I'm just like, dude, bless up.
Yeah, shout outs to him for sure. But make sure you guys check it out on Spotify. All 3 are available, and yeah, please shoot yourselves. All right, you won't be disappointed. And speaking of Abyss 2, now this one I added because I actually thought it was really funny. So Abyss 2 is actually going to be airing on Toonami on November 5th, and like it's kind of weird, right? Like I my initial response to this was like, I want as many people to be able to experience this series as possible. but I just don't know if this is the environment for to stick Abyss. Like, it's right after My Hero Academia on the airtime, bro.
Imagine being like a shonen anime watcher and you're enjoying like My Hero Academia, and then you just get thrown into the abyss, literally. I was like,
it's just like I don't know if that transition's necessarily gonna go that well. Just because, you know, obviously the subject material is a lot heavier. And so like I don't know how that is gonna go, and also I wonder if they're gonna censor certain things. Like I don't know if they're gonna make cuts or whatever. I don't know. It was just like really weird for me to see this. Like I'm not mad about it, but like I was just like, that's kind of an odd choice. It doesn't really fit in, I would say, with the rest of the lineup. Like you have My Hero, One Piece, and Naruto Shippuden, and I think that is the Inuyasha follow-up, right? After it, Yashahime.
if Dylan was here, he could probably tell us, but that's probably what
I
that
think
is.
that's I think it's the Inuyasha thing. Let me click on it. Yeah, it is.
Yep. Yeah.
So you have Inuyasha, My Hero, One Piece, and Naruto, and in the middle of it all, Made in Abyss season 2. You know, just in case you want to scar your resident shonen watchers for life.
Yeah, this seems like it should be a more late night slot, but I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do. I guess like I didn't realize American television was ready for this.
Yeah,
this is 12:30, so I guess it is late night.
It's like late, but like, is it late enough?
That's what I'm saying.
You might wake up the kids.
What day is November 5th? It is. Oh, it's a Wednesday. Okay, it's a Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I am curious. Because I really don't know how likely this is. How many people will see it at this time and actually go back and watch the whole series? Because obviously it's season 2. So if you're not caught up, you're not really gonna know what's going on.
Did Toonami air season 1 of Made in Abyss? Like,
I don't know. I would
like,
assume not. I would assume not, but maybe they did.
I feel like, why would you air season 2 if you didn't air season 1 already? But
I don't know if they, because like Abyss 1 was
oh wait, they
Anime
did.
Strike. It was it. They did?
Yeah,
oh wow.
They did. It was actually January of this year. They ran
wow.
Made in Abyss 1.
Oh shit.
Oh,
okay. All right. Well, that I guess that makes more sense.
Apparently, it was successful enough to rerun it again this year. Actually,
that is wow.
Let's go, happy ending.
Yeah. Hey man, more power to them. Like I still think like it is quite a different vibe than the rest of the shows on the lineup. But I'm not gonna complain about more people getting to watch the series. So yeah, I added that up.
Maybe it'll open the gates for like more like non-shonen stuff to like be featured on.
Maybe that would be cool. That would be cool. But I feel like, you know, they have a market that they definitely need to appeal to, and I've talked to a lot of people about Toonami over the years, and like shonen is by far the strongest association. Even like when you say the word Toonami to me, like most of the shows on there, I would associate as shonen. That and like mech shows.
Oh yeah,
because the mech shows are definitely on there too. And so yeah, no, that's definitely really interesting for sure.
I don't want to like undersell this, but like Toonami is like a pretty important platform for like, you know, first time anime watchers. Like absolutely. Toonami is like a way that a lot of people like have gotten into anime over the years just because like they see it. And Bobby, you had a story where like I remember like you were watching like Naruto, and then Naruto was like no longer on like.
No. Okay, so well, sort of. So Toonami back in the day, as a kid, I watched Toonami, right? And so I was keeping up with like Naruto, One Piece, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And
that's what it was.
then Toonami, I guess it was like not doing successfully, or maybe it was a poor management decision. They started airing new episodes of shows every other week, and then every like the week in between they would air like anime movies, and so they just air, which meant really they were airing Spirited Away every other week, which was very annoying. But it was really frustrating, low key. Sometimes they'd be Naruto movies, which is like okay, sure, I've already seen this, but okay. And then eventually Toonami just became defunct for like several years before coming back eventually. But in that time I was like, No, Naruto's not over. He fought Sasuke. The last important thing that happened was he fought Sasuke at the final valley. I don't know what happens. This story's not done. And so I Googled newest Naruto episode, only to find out that in Japan they were like 70 episodes ahead. And I was like, I guess I have a lot of Naruto to watch.
Wow.
Dude, that's freaking comedy. But that just goes to show, like, you know, Toonami is an important platform when it comes to, like, you know, introducing people to the medium. Like, you know, even though if it's like not ideal by like our standards, but like Toonami, like if a show like Made in Abyss like gets put on Toonami, to me, like that's like, you know, a change in direction for the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If it's going to be like a trend, it's probably like not going to be for a very long time, but there are like, you know, not many better series that they could put on like Made in Abyss, like in terms of like, you know, quality of storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I just was like, I was so like shell shocked whenever I saw this announcement. I was like, what in tarnation is going on here? what is happening? But yeah, if you are out there and you haven't gotten to see it yet, then maybe you could check it out on Toonami. There are easier ways to watch it, but you know, it's the thought that counts. Maybe get your friends into it. Our next topic is we're gonna talk about some Kaguya-sama news.
Kaguya news. So if you have not heard already, the Kaguya-sama Love is War manga is ending. This is the official statement by the mangaka Aka Akasaka. There are a lot of Akas in that statement, but you know, that's a name straight out of Origairu, if you ask me. But yeah, like this, like Kaguya is set to end with its next chapter. We also like saw like the official like article from Live Door News that you pulled up as well, with like a visual for it. You know, in a way, like, you know, obviously if you love the series, like this is kind of like, you know, bittersweet news. I wish Dylan was here to like talk about it because he's a reader. He said that like this is like, you know, well past like the climax of the series in his opinion. But still, like this is like a very like, you know, renowned series, and definitely like from what I've seen, like the best rom-com out there. I'm confident in saying that, honestly.
I think
I
think what's really cool about this is actually like the author's like, because the author actually writes another extremely successful manga alongside Kaguya, which is Oshinoko, which I'm kind of curious to see how that's gonna go, if they you know, if they're gonna put more focus on that, because they both are in top 10 sellers for the best-selling manga like reports that come out, and it's just like,
that's impressive.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of curious, are they going to make a new series again, just to always have two in the rotation? Because this person's clearly incredible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kaguya, I think, like, you know, has a very, very important play. It's like one of those, like, anytime we stumble across a show that kind of has that air about it, that, like, no matter what they put out, it's going to be quality, right? Like, that's so important. Especially, like, you know, having at least one or two of those per genre, I think is really important, especially like when we're talking about being a proper recommender. When people are asking, you know, I'm looking to get into the romantic comedy genre. You know, I've never watched anything in the genre before. What can I watch that you know, maybe something I would like? It's like, I mean, recommending this is like almost never gonna go wrong, I think. Because, you know, I think it's a story that everyone can understand. It's quality the entire way through, and there's a lot of it, right? And like that, I think that's important, because when you recommend someone a show, we've all been recommended a show before, and you know, after you watch it and you enjoy it, it's like, is there more? And with this show, there is more. there is more. There's like what, three whole series. yeah. It's like and so like it's not like, you know, you watch a 12 episode series and then you're just kind of left in the dry. You have a lot, and then, you know, you also can go back and read if you want to. And, you know, segueing on top of that, they announced this movie coming to theaters. Yeah.
Yeah, like this tweet in particular was literally like dropped today, this morning.
Yeah.
Like October 30th, like at 6:30 a.m. I'm just like, bro, let's go. And like we so like this is called like Kaguya-sama Love is War, the first kiss that never ends, I believe.
Yep.
As the English title, and we knew that this was happening like as soon as like the third season ended, but we didn't get an exact release date for it.
Yeah.
Although we knew it was happening like this year for sure, and now we have the release date of December 17th. In Japan only, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We'll get it. We'll get it eventually.
Womp womp.
It'll be a special like theatrical showing. So if you're in Japan and you like this series, like you're eating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something I like about like this show a lot is it's like one of those like genre breaking things that, like lets people like expand their palette. It's like, because everyone starts off with the same type of shows.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like this is one of those shows that you show somebody, it's like, oh, I didn't know I was going to particularly like it, but then they go like, oh wait, anime can do a lot more, and like this like gets you into something that lets you like expand to like more stuff.
No,
because like a lot of times you start off with the same recommendations.
I got something like that too. So I have a friend from the fighting game community. His name is Kali Mac. Kali Mac is a diehard One Piece fan, like loves One Piece to death, and he obviously likes other shonen and stuff as well, but diehard One Piece fan, like by far his favorite show, right? And shout outs to his podcast. They do a podcast called Straw Hat Sit Down, where they talk about One Piece every week.
That's what's up.
So definitely big shout outs to them and what they're doing. And so like recently I was scrolling my Twitter timeline, which I don't do very often because that website is definitely nonsense. But he tweeted, what the fuck? Kaguya-sama's gas. I was just scrolling. I was like, yeah. And so like I definitely think there's a lot of people who like primarily watch like shows centered around fighting and whatnot that kind of haven't breached into some of the lighter stuff that will definitely find a great entry point with Kaguya-sama. And I just thought it was so funny that happened like recently, because we're just now getting all this news with Kaguya about it ending in the movie and everything. So I was just like, wow, this is very, very appropriately timed amongst everything. And they actually have a PV for the movie that we can take a peek at here.
Yeah,
it's actually really short. It's only like 30 seconds.
Yeah, all the previews that we have lined up are pretty short, so I feel like we can just watch them.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, they're like, you're gonna watch this anyway. We don't need to show you much.
That's right.
あのキスは一体。こういう時、普通どうするんですか？俺が篠宮に聞きたいことを。なんで逃げるんだ、篠宮。白金みゆきを一番最初に好きになったのは。本当の自分なんて。ねえ、会長。あなたが好き。
And like I don't know if you saw, but in there, like one of the dates designated was Christmas Eve. Like
yeah, this is a Christmas story. Like if the key visual was any indication.
Yeah, she kind of said but
yeah, like,
so
I can't tell like where this is in relation to like the end of the manga, but like like going back to like the manga ending, like this will be like a cap on a legendary series, honestly, like because like the manga has been running since like 2015, I believe. So like this will be like a 7-year runtime, and if there's one thing that like I appreciate about anime manga, like as an art form, I really appreciate the ones where they know when it's time to end.
Absolutely.
There's so many like series that like just continue running just because they're popular and because the creators and the people who benefit from that know that it makes a lot of money. But with a series like Kaguya, like not only is it like extremely popular and extremely like well crafted in every regard, it has a clear like endpoint, because like this is like a high school show, and obviously, like by the end of the third season, they're talking about like college and stuff. But like even though that like there is like more like implied that they could tell they're choosing to like end it at this point, which I like is very like commendable to me, because as an artist, I feel like you shouldn't like overstep like your vision, you know, like you shouldn't like, you know, add more just because like people like your like what's going on, they just want more, you know. So once Kaguya ends, like it'll be in like a series for the ages, bro. Like this will stand at the top of like the rom-com genre like for a very long time, in my opinion, and that's probably the highest praise you can give to it, I feel.
Absolutely. All right, so our next topic, this one is a little different than the topics that we talked about before.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ.
All right. So
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is we're gonna talk about Takahiro Sakurai, which if you're not familiar with that name, he is one of the most prolific male voice actors in not only the anime industry but also the video game industry. So recently, people will know him in video games as the voice of Cloud Strife in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And in anime, people will most recently know him as Reigen Arataka from Mob Psycho. I feel like he's his most like popular role that's in this airing seasons. And like, you know, this is a fan favorite character. People love this guy. Like I remember like there's like some kind of Tumblr Awards thing where like he won a bunch of things that he haven't even been nominated for, which is like, you know, peak comedy like in that circle. So what happened is it was recently disclosed that Takahiro Sakurai has had an affair for 10 years, cheating on his wife. And at a glance, that is like very bad at a baseline. So
very it's difficult to not hold a particular opinion.
So trying to like dive into like the nuances of this. So like it was only like publicly disclosed that like Takahiro Sakurai was even married like a month ago. And I feel like that's something that to like, you know, protect like his family from like, you know, social media type stuff, since like, you know, he is a very like popular voice actor and he doesn't want to bother his family with the things that like he might receive on a daily basis, you know what I mean? And I think that's like pretty respectable. But what's not respectable is what comes after, where the TLDR of this is that like he was seeing this script writer from the studio that employs him, you know, in that way, you know, having an affair. And when it was publicly disclosed that he was married, this woman like went into shock and to the point where she had to like go to the hospital, which is very bad. And he has admitted to this. This is not just speculation. Like he has publicly admitted that this is true. He's not like trying to like hide that part of the story anymore. But what I want to talk about with like this story is kind of like the future for Takahiro Sakurai, because there's a lot of people who like their gut reaction to this story was, oh man, Takahiro Sakurai is like going to get replaced in a lot of his roles now, because obviously like he's not going to like work in a lot of these things anymore. And personally, if you ask me, I don't really think that's true. And this is kind of like where I want to like open up the discussion, because what he did was obviously like, you know, very immoral. I don't think anybody would agree with like, you know, a 10-year long affair in any context. But it was like not unlawful is the best way I can put it. Like having an affair is like not against the law. You can like not do what you want with that because you shouldn't do that. But like, you know, if you do something like that, that is like, you know, not illegal. Should you be like, you know, taken off of your job opportunities or like be like, or like, you know, lose work because of something like this? And that's, I kind of want to open up the floor now because I have a lot of opinions about this, but you know, what are kind of like your first reactions when you think of like, oh, how is this going to like affect his work moving forward?
So, I think the first thing for me to keep in mind is that this is Japan and not America.
Yeah.
I feel like if this were to occur in America, there'd be a lot more outlash and people would be much more willing to be like, no, you're donezo forever. Everything you do, you're done. But I think, first off, he already is the voice for so many characters in so many different shows that I kind of feel like in a sense, it's almost impossible to replace him, because what you're saying is kind of right. But like, you know, obviously what he did is totally wrong. But I feel like at the very least, he might reprise a lot of his roles that he's already kind of been doing. But at the same time, I wonder if this will affect his future prospects, like how prolific he'll be in the future. Because I'm not sure how seriously they take these kinds of things over there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting, oh, hold on.
Miguel, what do you think about this in the meantime? Miguel?
Oh, sorry, I muted my mic by accident.
I
was. Thanks for saying my name again, because then I would have not noticed. Anyway, I don't think it's gonna like affect anything unless he wanted to. Like, unless he wants to like stay out of the light a little bit. I don't think it's really gonna affect anything. Personally, I don't know, because it just kind of comes down to like, yeah, what he did like sucks. It's like not great, obviously, but like it's just pretty hard to like recast. Just off the top of my head, like Tomioka. I mean, Tomioka actually, I guess he's not in the thing. Just there's a lot of just high profile names that he's in that are just kind of like, are they really gonna go through this and like without like a backlash from like people? But like, I don't know. Like Bobby said, maybe it'll be harder for him to get like other stuff. But like, I think it's more on him, kind of like if he just wants to like wait a little bit and it's like, all right, let's see if like things blow over, then maybe he won't work on stuff for a little bit. But I'm not sure. I don't know. It's just like it sucks what he did, but like it doesn't really like, it's not cancelable, I guess.
I think my first reaction when I saw this was I don't think it's gonna matter. And so like my thing is this in the grand scheme of things is very small, I think. And that might seem like off-putting to some, like might be thinking, oh, we've cheated for 10 years. Yeah, okay, but that's kind of still like an interpersonal matter between him and his family and his issues. I think this is a very small thing, especially in a world where there are like clearly very much worse things that we've seen by like very high-profile figures. You hear about people being involved with like sexual assault scandals, you know, actual like really heinous acts. I don't think that this is like nearly as severe on that scale, and I think for good reason. In terms of like affecting his work and everything, I don't think it will unless he wants it to. I can't see them, especially him being Japanese. I do not see them being like, okay, you can't voice these characters anymore because of in America. I think there would be a chance for it to reach that point because I do think that at least it seems like American companies are much more cognizant of like social media presence and kind of like public perception, and so like sometimes they don't want to associate with someone who has so much negative press around them, and like that's I get that part of it, but at least to me it doesn't seem like Japan is nearly as strict when it comes to stuff like this, and so I don't think it will really matter if he wants to just continue, you know, voicing his characters, and I don't think he's gonna have a problem with that. That's my take. I don't think he'll have an issue with that. It's still like, of course, it's a shitty situation. Like it sucks when someone's so prolific it like even has like this much negativity like circulated, you know, in media, because like no one wants to hear about, you know, these very well respected, talented people like doing bad things. No one really wants to hear about that. But I don't think that this will be a huge deal in the end, or at least it doesn't feel like it will be. I could end up being wrong, and maybe it'll blow up harder than I think it will. But my original take was that like I don't think it's gonna matter in the grand scheme of
I forgot to mention this. Do you guys know Daisuke Namikawa?
Yeah.
The voice actor? Yeah, I mean, he like cheated, like the same type of thing ish happened a few years ago, and so that's like Hisoka's voice actor, among a few other people that are pretty notable. And like nothing really happened to like him like in recent times. He's kept working on like pretty what you'd call high profile roles. I mean, he's Kid from One Piece, and he's also like in Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. He's one of like the not lead characters, but like he's one of like the key supporting characters. And that's a pretty popular show. So yeah, he still gets stuff. I don't know.
I don't think it should either. Like personally.
Yeah, I don't think it should either.
I don't think this is something worth like losing your entire livelihood over. Because at the end of the day, it's like I said, it's like kind of more of a family matter. It's not a It's not a we don't need to get authorities involved. We don't need a court of public opinion. Like it's a shitty thing to do, but like, what does that have to do with voice acting? It doesn't.
We don't really know the nature of their relationship anyway. You know, it's like, what are the details that we really know about this?
And I don't. And I, as a bystander, I am not entitled to know about that either. Like I don't like. Some people feel that way. Like whenever famous people get involved with things, that they suddenly are entitled to know everything about their lives. Like I don't know, and I don't have the right to know really. Like what he is doing with his wives and his mistresses, like, doesn't really have anything to do with me. As long as he's not actually hurting someone, like actually like performing some type of heinous act, I don't think it's that deep. At least I don't know. I don't know if that's I feel like some people would feel like that's insensitive, but I really don't think it is. It just doesn't seem like something that should be out in the like. It doesn't feel like we need to get everyone's public opinion on this particular issue. I feel like he should work this out with his wife, obviously. But other than that, like, we respect their privacy.
I'm kind of in that same like headspace as well. Like where I stand on this, like after thinking about it for a while, is that like at the end of the day, this is really just like a morals versus ethics type of discussion. Like ethically, like he shouldn't like lose work because of this, but like obviously morally, everybody like disagrees with what he did. Like and me saying that like his work shouldn't be affected is not me condoning his actions, because obviously I do not condone his actions. But like you said, this is like a family matter. I feel like because like if you do something illegal, like you should lose work and also go to jail. Like if you murder somebody, you're going to go to jail. Like if you embezzle money, like you're gonna go to jail. But like this is like not on that scale of criminal activity. Like in fact, it's not even like considered criminal activity in my opinion. So where I think like this is like going to like go in the future, like obviously he's still going to continue to do the roles that like are listed that he is like slated for. So like obviously he's still like Reagan, he's still going to be like Gyu in like Demon Slayer for instance, and he's still likely going to be Cloud Strife in Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. But if you ask me, like he might like take a step back for a bit just so that he can like stay out of like the spotlight of hatred, just so he doesn't have to like deal with that. Like obviously he's still gonna like receive a lot of backlash like if he does continue working, but I do think he is still going to continue working, because if you ask me, like I don't want him to be replaced in a lot of the roles that he's great has, like honestly like I'm able to like see like what he has like contributed to like these mediums, and it is like he's irreplaceable. Just to summarize that, like like you want Takahiro Sakurai like voicing your characters if you feel like he fits the role, which he does fit a lot of roles. But you might see him like a little less, but it might not even be noticeable. That's kind of like
seeing him a little bit less is like, I mean, the guy's in everything, so it's like
instead of like 20 shows a year, he might be like on 15 shows a year.
It's like, okay, well it'd be like that. But okay, so moving on to the next topic, we got behind the scenes.
A little bit of lighter news.
We got behind the scenes on Bocchi the Rock episode 3.
This episode was crazy, bro. Like, I love this show so much. So like basically like what we're gonna be talking about here is kind of like the creative process to like what like an episode of like Bocchi like kind of like entails. This one in particular, because this one was definitely like a different episode, even like amongst like the two others that existed at the time. So this here is a tweet from the assistant director and also the episode director for episode 3, Yusuke Nara Yamamoto. And this is like his thank you tweet, and this shows like the kind of like the live action props that appeared in the show, because there were like live action like segments that
it transcends 2D.
Yeah, that were like, you know, put into the episode. And the other tweet that we have, I saw you had it pulled up there. So this one is like the moment that they recorded like a balloon popping scene, and this was captured by animation producer Shoto Umahara at Cloverworks. So if you haven't seen the episode, this might look kind of just like ridiculous to you. But if you actually like see the scene when this happens, like it's very like, oh my god, like this show, like, you know, we've called it like eccentric before, but this is like really like trying to like put a fresh take on like, you know, what animation like can be. Like, you know, we got like these people making like Bocchi the Bocchi the Rock adaptation are like thinking like outside the box. Like we can like do this crazy thing that like nobody has like thought of like doing before. And to me, like that makes the series like very, very special, you know? And I love like how like transparent they're being like with how like they're making the show, because obviously like Cloverworks has had some transparency issues in the past. Like I think back to like what happened with like Wonder Egg, where the production cycle was like, you know, very, very like scuffed, and they kind of wanted to keep that on the down low. But this seems to me like a very like healthy project that they're doing, and you know, you'll love to see it. And if you haven't like watched the episode yet or caught up on the series, like I would highly like recommend it, just so that you can like see like the craziness in motion. I still need to like watch like the most recent episode, which I can't wait to like do that. Probably
I'm watching that today.
Yeah, stamp of approval for Bocchi.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is it's extremely like creative, and we openly support, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just looks like people having fun.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
Personally, my front runner for the season so far.
It's scenes like this that like really like convince you that the people making it are having a good time, you know.
I feel that.
Like it's not a chore for them. Like they're doing this because like they want to, and they have like fresh ideas for something that, like, you know, on a base level, like as a like just describing the premise to someone, it would seem like, you know, not very exciting, but
yeah,
you know, there's a little like
it's like the side of the industry we don't usually get to see. I think it's really cool to see stuff like that. Like it like there's some very interesting concepts that get done in these shows, especially like this is like one of those things that like you can really appreciate in a week-to-week format, because when you watch an episode, you get that sticks in your mind for an entire week. You watch the next one, and so like that, like the moments in Bocchi episode 3 were like very standout. Like, that was actually really, really interesting. And so to get more context around like how did they make this happen? Like I think that was a really, really cool thing to see for sure.
Yeah, each episode feels like its own like unique experience, just in like how it's like directed, because like, you know, there are different like animation or episode directors that kind of like add their own spin to the series, and like, you know, the gags and how they're executed, and I love that stuff. I love it when like a lot of different styles can like get recognized and come to fruition in these ways, because like from what I've seen of the 4th episode, because I haven't seen the 4th episode yet, it's very different, you know. It's like not the same thing that we've gotten for like the past like 3 weeks, and you know, likewise each episode before that is not like the one before, you know. And it's fresh every week. I literally like want the next episode after I finish like this week's episode. I'm like, come on, just give it to me. It's that show for me this season.
The meta humor is really good too, like just how subtle it is, because it's like they do, you know, there's fourth wall breaking gags, but then there's stuff like in this show where like they'll show you credit sequences early, they'll like show you like, oh, here's an like end of episode illustration in the middle of the episode. You're just like, bro.
I freaking love that, bro. They're like,
so
they're like playing with like medium like conventions that in ways that like you don't really see, because, you know, keeping up with like conventions is kind of like the recipe for like making sure that people like watch your show and that it's popular and has widespread appeal. But we don't need those for this show, you know.
Yeah,
it's fun that they actively are like poking at them, but it's also not beating you over the head with it. It's just like a once episode thing maybe that occurs, and you're just this is great.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, moving on to the next topic, which also involves Bocchi. We have some crossover talent between some,
and I'll probably have to like explain this a little bit. So.
Yeah. So, oh, whoops, wrong thing. That's actually
Well,
the topic sheet.
there's a dot. Okay, so just to like this tweet kind of like summarizes the vibes that of like this whole topic. So like there's like like at the end of every anime episode there are credits, obviously, that shows like who worked on each episode. And this week in particular, or like I say this week, but at this point it's last week. There was a lot of crossover talent between 3 of what I would call like the front runners of the season in Mob Psycho Season 3, Bocchi the Rock, and Do It Yourself. In particular, like, so like just to start off, so like the director of Bocchi is like Keiichiro Saito. It was revealed that, you know, at the end of like Mob Psycho episode 4, which was a stellar episode, by the way. Like, if you're not keeping up with Mob Psycho, like that episode was like fucking crazy. And that's all I'll say about it. Just watch it. It was revealed that like he did key animation for that show, which is like, or for that episode, and that's like very important. And also like, it bears mentioning like that Mob Psycho Season 3, and also like recently revealed like Do It Yourself, are like their production cycles are finished. They've been done for a little bit. Like Mob Psycho like production like wrapped up around like last spring, and Do It Yourself, to my knowledge, is mostly done in terms of production. Whereas like Bocchi is like continuously like being made right now. Production cycle is still going on. But there are people who like contributed to like Mob Psycho and Do It Yourself from Bocchi, who are like, you know, working on Bocchi this season. So like I said, Keiichiro Saito, director of Bocchi, contributed key animation to Mob Psycho episode 4. Teroriya, who is Bocchi's character designer, also contributed to Do It Yourself episode 4 as an assistant animation director. This episode of Mob episode 4 was directed by Naoto Uchida, who contributed key animation to Bocchi's episode 3, which is the episode that we just talked about with like, you know, the balloon and stuff. And Hayate Nakamura, who is Mob Psycho episode 4's animation director, contributed as animation director on episode 3 of Bocchi. I'm just like, bro, like, where are all these people coming from? Like, you know, and like, this is something that like, you know, is something personal with me, where I love like recognizing like reoccurring talent in the industry. And it's so cool to me that like these people, like in particular, like there's definitely like more that I could list, but you know, if I did, we'd be here all day talking about it. That are working on like, you know, what are like, you know, the 3 of the shows that I am enjoying like the most this season. And I'm just like, bro, artists and their work, they do us good, bro. Like they're enriching our lives in ways that only like anime can, and I'm just like, bro, they're out here.
I think the most important thing about stories like this is that like this really hammers home the importance of staff more so than studio. And we did a talk on this, you know, a few episodes back. We did an episode called Studio Staff and Style, where you know, a lot of people associate certain works with studios just because like that's kind of just a baseline association that most people make, but really the living, breathing humans behind these works are very, very multi-talented in a lot of aspects. Like you see character designers doing directional work and vice versa, and storyboarding and script writing, and like these people are very, very talented, and so it's really cool to see them get recognition, you know, for their other talents. Like, you know, it might not be their main project, but them getting recognition for contributing to shows, especially shows as you know, as good as these, I think is like just a really cool thing to see, and something that we don't get to see necessarily super often. Most of the time we have to do the digging ourselves. Be like, oh wait, this dude did an episode of this show too, like holy shit. But they like kind of put it out there for us this time, which is really, really cool that like they're doing the recognition for us. We don't have to do any digging for this one. They're just kind of like, these people are sick, and I can't believe that they were on this they were all on this episode together. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I can't really like stress this enough, but like Bocchi 3, like Mob Psycho 4, and and Do It Yourself 4 are probably like going to be some of the most standout episodes like in this whole season. Like I'm talking about like even moving forward. These episodes were like very, very well executed in what the shows are trying to do, and to see like reoccurring talent is just like, you know, these are names that like, you know, I might look out for if I'm looking for like quality, because like that's really what it is. It's just like we know that these artists are capable of, you know, constant quality deliverables, and I will love to see them on like in their future endeavors, though. You know, it's like a whole journey that they are taking.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to our next topic. We got some stuff involving Studio Trigger.
Yeah, so just found this out like literally like the other day. So if we can just pull up what we need to pull up right now. So what this is so NHK World Japan has this program called the Anime Studio, where they release episode or documentaries of studios that have worldwide appeal and like, you know, very like passionate fan bases across the world. So their first episode was on Production IG, which they released like last year in November 2021, I believe, when this program started. And most recently, like at the beginning of this month, they released a feature on Studio Trigger. And the I watched this documentary yesterday. Like I would highly recommend checking out like the full like documentary. Like it's about like half an hour long, a little less.
I'll leave a link in the description for people that want to.
Yeah, we'll probably like put the link to the documentary in the description. But this covers like a brief history of like their founding and their growth, like since like 2011, I believe, is when Trigger was founded. So 11 years in production, dude. Decade long. It's crazy. Time. Where did it go? Know, right? And so it covers like mostly their most recent work on Cyberpunk Edge Runners, because that to me like it was an undeniable like success amongst like the people who watched it. And also it talks about like their future projects like on Gridman Universe, which is like a film that continues the storylines of both like SSSS Gridman and SSSS Denaizen. And like this, I love this type of stuff because like it gives like inside demonstrations of like the creative process that the people at Studio Trigger like take. And if you like watch the documentary, there's a lot that figureheads like Hiroyuki Imaishi share and Yo Yoshinari as like, you know, they're two like of the founding members of the studio, and it talks a lot about like how they pass down like their techniques in their art to the future generations, which is to me like, you know, very commendable, because they also like go into like how like back in the day like it was kind of like an industry practice that you just like hide like what makes your art good, just so that you only like you can use it. But times have changed and they're not about that anymore. We want future generations of artists and animators and script writers and storyboarders to like carry the torch, you know, when we're gone. And
this is like,
really cool. And we can watch we can watch like this snippet. So like this is a workshop that Yo Yoshinari hosted, teaching animators about like very like basic drawing techniques and how to like make that into very like, you know, convincing animation. This is how I initially found out about this like whole documentary, just seeing the snippet of Yoshinari's workshop. There's a lot more that this documentary like goes into with how the people who are like, you know, very seasoned and very experienced kind of have honed their craft and pass that down to the new generation. And to me, like, I can't recommend it any higher. You should probably just like watch the full documentary. But when do you have time, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I think this is like important because like how else are you supposed to like get people into the medium? And by into the medium, I mean like working in the medium without like, you know, showing stuff like this. Obviously, I know this is just like, oh, look, a little workshop on like how you do this stuff, but this like type of thing is like how you get people who are like really interested to like their eyes get big and be like, oh shit, that's how it works. And like, you know,
like in this documentary, like Hiroyuki Imaishi like does a segment on storyboarding, and also like how he implemented this technique called rim lighting into Cyberpunk Edge Runners as its most like defining like visual characteristic to like really make the characters pop, and it really gave it its visual identity. And he showed like so many instances where like, you know, this was like, you know, there was like so much intention behind it, and he like was really like, you know, transparent with like the animators, like you have to like understand this, otherwise the work is going to fall apart. And like, you know, that's like the mark of like a very like, you know, seasoned director. Like they know like the responsibility that they have in order to like make their art, you know.
Mhm.
And this type of thing is something that you will only really be interested in if you like appreciate anime as a medium like we do. And I sincerely hope that like a lot more people will like want to understand like the works that like, you know, bring them joy in their lives, you know.
Yep, true. You know, one extra thing before we move on. I think it's hilarious how like you know, they're doing they're doing the highlights of like studios like one by one, and the first one was IG and the second one's Trigger. I'm pretty sure those are two of the studios that we had in like kind of our goated list whenever we were talking about,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like stand out like, you know, gilded studios. So like I wonder like are they just gonna go over everyone on our list? That would be pretty dope. I can't lie. That would be
When's the Shaft episode?
yeah, the Shaft episode. I need the Kinema episode. I need all that, man.
The Shaft episode's gonna be like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
they have to keep this under like 30 minutes because like, you know, this airs on television.
yeah. But oh man, it's
Welcome to
definitely
Shaft
super,
episode
super
part
cool.
6.
And like I said, I'll leave I'll leave the link for this whole documentary in the
It's like 20 minutes,
description.
so not too long, all things considered. It's an
yeah.
episode.
Absolutely. Okay, next. So I think this is the first time we're actually covering something related to One Piece on this. I think.
The One Piece.
Yeah, we actually.
There's only 2 One
This is
Pieces in
me.
here.
I know, right? It's fucking crazy.
There's only 2 One Pieces in here. Yes, look.
Yeah. I mean, you get. All right, bro. This is actually insane. Yeah, and so they revised their earnings forecast because One Piece and Dragon Ball are kind of popping off is is what they're trying to say. Yeah. And which is like, you know, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
A lot of money, yes.
It's a lot of money.
Quite a bit.
Okay, so this is like the thing that I'm the one who put this in our Google Doc for like preparation here, and I just saw it and I was like, $116 million for One Piece, and this isn't canon. This is just like non-canon.
Oh yeah.
I mean, One Piece always does that. They've been doing that thing since Strong World, where it's like there's a character that is technically real that exists in the One Piece world, but the events of the movie are not canon. So like they give you canon information through non-canon, through non-canon events.
Okay, that makes sense. Man, this is a lot of money, bro.
Bro, like $116 million. I was like, and the movie's been out for like I think like 2.5 months or something. And like there was also like this thing like SAO just came out and like it beat
this, right?
It outperformed One Piece Film Red like in like its 12th week. So it took like the first week of SAO to like outperform One Piece Film Red.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny.
Yeah, SAO. That's the Asuna retelling, right?
Yeah, it's like the second version, the second part of the film. Yeah.
Okay.
That none of us have been able to see yet because the first part isn't even here yet.
Yeah. I was like, I haven't even got to see the first one yet.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. I like money, finance, and business and stuff. And like, they had to like recalibrate their projections because like it's like, oh, yo, our 2 money makers made even more money than we thought. So.
Yeah, and like I mean, I don't know if it's surprising that like I don't know, should I be surprised that One Piece is outperforming Dragon Ball to this extent?
I feel like Dragon Ball in Japan, like a lot of younger, like it's mostly for older people, I feel like nowadays.
Okay.
Like I feel like there's a lot of younger people who are like not as into Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
That said though, like this movie, Dragon Ball Superhero, I actually went and saw it. It was actually like full CG. It was it was interesting. It was different. I actually thought it was like kind of fun, but it was definitely different for sure. I thought it was pretty fun to watch though, but it was like not something like super duper serious. It actually like didn't really focus on Goku or Vegeta at all. It was completely about Gohan and Piccolo, which is like, oh, that's okay. Yeah, they're just changing stuff up. But like the CG, like full CG, I think is easier to do than integrating CG into a 2D show.
Absolutely.
So it definitely looked like fine to me, but at the same time, you know, there's that caveat of like, you know, so. But regardless, you know, I thought it was fun. It didn't like make my brain explode. That said, though, I will be going out to watch One Piece Film Red. But I just wanted to quickly mention, like, I feel like very recently with Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, like a lot of these like anime movies are like that are coming out now are like really starting to shake up the Japanese box offices. You know?
Oh,
it's
okay.
like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I think like they know.
Year. Yeah, I feel like every year there's just one.
Something. Yeah, there's like at least one movie that's like going crazy.
Yeah, so everyone wants to do it because like, wait a minute, they killed that. It was
Like,
that was
a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's a lot. I can pay my bills with that.
They saw Demon Slayer break the box office in like 2020, and like,
pretty much.
Man,
Yeah, that's why I think Attack on Titan will end with a movie. I think we're gonna get final season part 3 and then a movie.
I could see that. It's actually it's kind of weird. Like Titan has not done any movie content, right? Like
they haven't.
They've only done like recap
I think
stuff.
they've done like some like. My memory is fuzzy on this, but I remember like there being like some movies stuff, like maybe it was like recap stuff. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
There's definitely like live action stuff which we don't talk about. But
you know. we can move on.
If you look at the top, grossing anime list for Japanese films, in the top 10, it's all anime.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like all anime. The first live action is literally number 11, and then it just goes back to being more anime.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not surprising.
And like, okay, so Bobby sent a clip of like one of the latest One Piece episodes yesterday. And that thing looks absolutely crazy. So I'm just like,
no. So I actually saw like there's like a dude on Twitter who like tweets in English because he's like from an English speaking country. Turns out like for the whole Wano arc that like began, they actually changed their entire like team working on One Piece. Like the entire team got completely refreshed. And there's a ton of like international talent working on the current One Piece anime, which is why it looks so amazing, because it's just they literally were like, we don't care who you are, where you're from, if you're good, you're doing One Piece. And that, like Wano's it's that thing, right, of like we were amazed that like Demon Slayer could like have animation that good weekly. Right, like that weekly standard. Yeah. But like One Piece is not just weekly. This has been going on for multiple years now. And so it's just kind of like, dang, dude, like it's crazy. Like if you were to say like, does Toei deserve this money? If Film Red looks like what the weekly anime looks like right now, like they deserve the money, because it's what the work they've been putting out is genuinely incredible.
Yeah, it looks like we'll get to find out soon. Like, American audiences.
Yeah, I'm watching it next week.
It's on November 4th. Is this in theaters? Is that
you're
doing this?
I'm going to watch it. Hell yeah.
Yo, you going to watch it?
Yeah. I could actually in theaters for me. The Revy Starlight movie didn't come out near me.
Wow.
And I'm in a way bigger city than both of you, and I didn't get the movie. Like, what?
Bro, I got so screwed with the movie I went to go see in theaters, bro. Like, COVID, man.
COVID, man. Just kind of like my closing thoughts on this. Like, this is like pretty interesting to me because, like, obviously, like, you know, this whole like section is kind of like how money like plays into it, and like, wow, these things are like making like a lot of money. But like with like anime like films in particular, like money seems to be like a driving force of quality, which is like honestly like not very normal by anime standards. Because like usually like when money is involved, it's usually about like doing the same thing that you've always been doing over and over and over again, just because people like it. Money is not really like a driving force of innovation for a lot of like very established series. But when it comes to films, like that shit better hit. Otherwise, like people are just like gonna like label this as like just like non-canon. Like, yeah, it was fun, but like let's move on type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like anime films go hard nowadays. This is like,
True.
and maybe money is a part of that. Like, you know, like I don't want to think that like artists like do what they do because they think it's going to make money, but like if it gives us like films like this, then I can't complain. So.
Oh, I mean, it's you know, as a creator myself, you know, you never forget about it, right? While it might not be your primary motivation, it matters. You know, it always matters to some extent. You know, that sliding scale kind of adjusts from person to person depending on their personal situation. But you know, we've been really big advocates for these staff members and these hard workers to receive proper compensation, not just in terms of money, but also, you know, benefits and whatnot, getting, you know, time off and whatnot. And so I think it's definitely important.
Obviously, I 100% want artists to like be compensated for their work, but you know, I don't want to get to the point where their art is like heavily influenced by how much money it's going to make.
Yeah, you don't want it to lose its soul. Yeah.
I just want it to like stick to their vision, and if it pops off and if it pops off like for them financially, then you know, obviously happy for it. Like that's the best ending.
All right, moving on to the next topic, and this is a fantastic one. Yuru Camp season
baby.
3.
Let's go, baby. Let's go camping.
And this is a very, very happy feels good announcement. This is a great
Let's go.
one.
I'll bring enough hype for both me and Dylan, because like we love the show, and I'm trying to get Miguel onto the show at some point as well, because like if you don't know what this is, like Yuru Camp, or Laid Bet Camp as it's called in English, is a top tier iyashikei. I think it like is definitely like at least like top 3 in that subgenre for what iyashikei wants to do. And man, like this came out of left field, bro, because like Yuru Camp recently had a movie last season in summer that we have not seen yet, because you know, anime movies like coming to America is kind of cringe. It takes forever. We get like one showing on a random Thursday. I'm like, okay. And like, you know, I really want to see that movie, and I thought that's where the series was going to be capped off. Like I didn't think we were gonna get any more, and then this drops, and I'm just like, what? Let's fucking go, bro! And like, it's interesting because like, I'm not a manga reader. I'm purely an anime watcher for this series. And the movie, mild spoilers, like there's a time skip between the second season and the movie where the characters are actually like adult. They've like graduated high school and they're now like living their adult lives and still going camping, because like that's what the series is about. And I'm wondering like where this season is going to pick up, because I'm not sure if like they just skipped over some content in the manga so that they would like get to like the adult lives and make that into a movie, and if they're going to go back when they're in high school with this season, or if they're going to continue of like, you know, their adult lives in this season. So I really don't know what this season is going to be, but I don't care, because like more camping, bro. Let's go.
Get more camp. More camp. Indeed. Camp is good. Camp is life.
Yeah, like just to like give a brief like overview of like, you know, what the series like is in the grand scheme of like iyashikei, like this, like the environment and like the atmosphere of the show is just like so comfy, bro. And it's also like, you know, very reflective. Like a lot of people would just like, you know, jump to like labeling the series as like, you know, cute girls go camping, which I can't really like blame them for that, because it is.
It is cute girls going camping.
But it's the most like interesting merit of the show to me is that like how it frames introversion. So like the main character, like Rin, like she is like a solo camper. Like she tends to go camping like by herself, and she eventually meets other people who like kind of like share in that passion. But the show does a good job at respecting her alone time, because she goes solo camping because she feels like she can take the time to really like reflect on life and like the small pleasures that she that she wants to like, you know, invest in, and how like that time and reflection really makes you like appreciate like loneliness and like the importance that you can like learn from that, as well as like the importance of companionship, because obviously like the characters camp together at some points. But to me, it's a very like heartfelt depiction of introversion, because usually like introverts like get the short end of the stick when it comes to like, you know, society depicts them. They usually like get portrayed as like you know, characters and people that like, you know, need to be corrected, because for some stupid reason extroverts think that they are like the default like way of living your life, which is kind of cat. And it respects like that side of like these types of characters that I don't think I've seen in like any other show. And to me, like it holds a very special place in my heart because of that, because I am like a self-proclaimed like introvert. I don't really like, you know, go out of my way to like, you know, pretend like I'm something I'm not. I'm not really like a social butterfly in that regard, but I found like a kinship in this series that I feel like a lot of people would also find a kinship in this series. And man, I just want more of it.
Well, all of us are definitely looking forward to that.
I'll get around to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know. I feel like we should. I actually had this interesting idea amongst ourselves, is that we do like pledges, where we pledge to each other that we will, you know, catch up on a particular show that others have been wanting to watch.
Jeffrey, you're watching One Piece.
So that's fucked up.
You, bro.
That's fucked up, brother. That is fucked up.
Miguel, at least with the series that I like, you know, forced upon you for, I'm not going to sugarcoat that, like I do force a lot on you. At least like those series are like, you know, 12 to 13 episodes.
Hey man, where's the balance? How many episodes do you owe him right now?
You know what? That's actually an interesting thing that I've never thought of. Maybe I'm talented enough, and maybe I'll like watch that many episodes once.
Like he's probably made me watch like 15 to 20 shows or something. Like that's being pretty conservative. That's still a lot less than One Piece.
Dude, that's like pre-time skip One Piece.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god, bro, Jesus. One Piecers, bro. Damn it. Damn it, man. Damn it. Okay, moving on. So this one is interesting because I feel like not many people will have probably seen this show, but this was one of the funnier shows that we watched whenever
Birdie
it was
Wing?
airing.
Yeah.
And so like Birdie Wing is the story of a character who golfs in a very, very interesting way. To say the least. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but just know that the show is extremely hilarious for a few different reasons. And so like Birdie Wing was like one of those shows that we were watching week in and week out, and we were just like kind of flabbergasted every week by like what the hell is going on. And so they announced the season 2, and it looks like it was supposed to be in winter. It looks like it's being pushed back to spring.
Yeah, that's kind of like the main like meat of this. Is like it was planned for January release, and now it's just gonna be pushed back a season for reasons that we don't really know.
Yeah, it's in various circumstances.
Yeah, they're not being very transparent about it, and like, you know, to me, like it's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like COVID, maybe it's some production issues. Like we don't know. It's just like getting pushed back a season.
Yeah, one season. Like they at least, because you know there's certain things that get into production hell where it's like, oh yeah, it's delayed indefinitely. And It's like, excuse me. But this is like very discreet. They're just saying like, oh yeah, just one season. So I mean, it might be a scheduling problem that might exist. It could just be something small like that.
These things happen.
And so. Yeah, it's just like, what are you gonna do? I mean, if they're taking the time to make the show better, I mean, I don't know how that's possible to make Peak become better. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, if they need more time, they need more time. You can't.
Oh my god!
You know what's like a funny like conspiracy theory that I just thought of? Like, what if Namco Bandai like saw like the show and were like, this is not golf. We did not pay you to like not make a golf show. You should like change that. And I'm like, bro, like that would be like so funny because like this show like just like, you know, at a base level is like one of like the most like hilariously like deceptive shows.
The premise does not tell you enough.
No, it doesn't.
You need to experience the show firsthand to understand why this is special.
But yeah, like what if Namco Bandai, which is like, this is not golf, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean they're right. It definitely isn't, but I'm here for it. I've like few shows that made me laugh as hard as this show.
The laughter is not like that's normal type of comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's laughter. Like if you're absurdist, you know, the fact that this exists, that you're in for this.
Mhm,
I'm just letting
mhm.
you know, like if you enjoy like absurdist humor, man, you're gonna have a riot with this one. This
Yeah.
is definitely something else.
Yeah, definitely out there. When I first saw this this particular announcement, I was just like, okay, that's fine, because like, you know, one season is very small in the grand scheme of things, and we've
Honestly,
definitely experienced much worse. Like,
yeah, honestly, I was surprised in like how early it was getting a second season, because usually there's at least
True.
like a year to a year and a half like gap between like seasons nowadays, and
Mhm.
like if it was going to be released in like January, that would have been like a 9-month gap, which is like, you know, very small,
Yeah.
because like but like at this point it'll be like a year gap, which is more what I along the lines of like what I would expect
What
from
you're
a second
expecting.
season.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
because like golf is like a sport that's like about like, you know, finesse and shit.
Mhm.
And this show is just not that.
That's the point.
You got finesse, bro. They
Yeah, that's
finessed
facts.
you.
It finessed, all right. It definitely finessed. But yeah, so well, whenever Birdie Wing comes out in spring, I'm sure we'll be watching that week to week and keeping you guys updated on the absurdity of what they're subjecting us to week in, week out. We actually have another sequel series to talk about. This one much more popular. You might have heard about a little show called Vinland Saga, which of course got confirmed for a season 2 a while back. And now I've had a few people tell me that read Vinland Saga, because it is one of the more popular seinen.
Yeah, I want to do that.
It is number 1 most popular 2023. Like, people are really looking forward to this show, obviously. And they were telling me that season 2 is well, they said it should be kind of, yeah, it kind of would be different stylistically than the first season, which I don't know how true that is, of course, having not read the source material. I also don't know, it looks like it's confirmed for 24 episodes, but this is really good news. This is really good news for me. It's because like the original was 24 as well. And you know, it always feels bad whenever you're kind of given less content, even if it's for good reason. Like maybe the arc is shorter, they don't have as many resources to do it all at once. But it's really nice to see that it's getting a 24 follow-up to an original 24 series. I think that is something really cool. And I definitely enjoyed Vinland Saga. It was a fun ride.
Very solid show, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely has some very interesting characters and very interesting. It's very graphic. It's like another one of those series that I think like Mappa's really like this is their bag.
Yeah, you
it's
just want
definitely their bag.
like, yeah, if you're saying that like this season is supposed to be like, you know, very like thematically or like visually different from what we got in the first season, then you know maybe the shift to Mappa will like, you know, kind of like complement that, because you know every time the second season comes up we have to talk about like how first season was Wit and now this season is Mappa, which is like
Yeah.
the
That's
second
classic, bro.
the classic hand me down from Wit to Mappa. Like you know, at this point it's happened like, you know, this is the second big one. Like Attack on Titan was the first big one.
Yeah.
But you know, I want to think that there's a reason behind that like, you know, because like with Attack on Titan, like the story behind that was that like, you know, we thought that like Wit didn't need Attack on Titan anymore to like, you know, stand on its own 2 feet and like invest more resources in their in projects that like better reflect like their brand, you know. But like with this one, like I'm not really sure. Like I did not watch Vinland Saga season 1. I might do that just so, because like people are talking about like how good this is, and I kind of want to see like the transition from.
We're gonna put on the pledges, bro.
Again,
the pledges, bro. I'm telling you. We're gonna make a Google Doc. We're gonna make a Google Doc, and we're all just gonna list shows that everyone else has to catch up on, so we can be on the same page.
But yeah, like. Honestly, because like this one is like next season, I'll probably give season 1 a watch. Yeah, you have my word on that one.
There you go.
Because I do want to see this transition, and you know, the readers of Vinland Saga have a lot of faith in this adaptation, and I want to kind of like be there to see what happens, you know.
Yeah, it's like one of the supposedly it's supposed to go through like a big tonal shift just from like the manga. So like I kind of like think about like what about the people who watched like Vinland Saga like season 1 and like appreciated like, you know, the action, like everything about it, what it was, whatever. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, what is this going to be? I don't know what it's going to be, but if it changes, it's going to be like there's like jarring shift. I mean, I'm still all down for it because I super like the characters in Vinland Saga and I really want to see it continue. But I think it's crazy that like Wit is just not going to be working when it's going to Mappa, especially since Mappa has so much stuff to do already. So it's just like
they do have a lot on their plate. So like my headcanon is that Wit, so this is what I would like to imagine it as. I don't know if this is actually true, but my headcanon that I choose to believe is that Wit and Mappa actually have just like a really, really good relationship with each other.
Probably. That's what I think.
And so like Wit is the studio that I think for them to realize their true identity, you know, they started with Titan, and through Titan they realized kind of direction that they wanted to take their style, and in doing so they were, you know, they were okay with giving up some of the bit. Like these are two of the biggest anime series of all time, Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga. Like these are not small series, and many studios, if they were given this source material plopped on their desk, they would never let this opportunity escape their hands. And so like really it just speaks to the strength of Wit as a studio. And you know, we talked about how they've kind of grown to be one of those gilded studios that we talk about nowadays, and I definitely don't think that could have happened without them doing Titan. But it's so cool to me that they are so comfortable with themselves that they're willing to give up Titan, they're willing to give up Vinland Saga, they're willing to say like, this isn't really what we want to be doing, we think that someone else can do it better. It just so happens that the two series that they passed along both went to Mappa. Who I think like it's like not one of those things that feels lazy. It doesn't feel like, oh, you know, we don't want to do this, we're just gonna throw it to Mappa and they can do whatever. Like Mappa really is like a great studio to do shows like Titan and Vinland Saga, at least from what we've seen so far.
That just got me thinking like that the reason that they like gave these like specific like parts of these series like to Mappa maybe is because like, you know, their like style and like their grittiness like is better like used to like portray like these specific parts of these series, because like with like Attack on Titan like final season, like there was definitely like a tonal shift and like a shift in like what the narrative was covering, which and like a lot of people like praised like Mappa for like more faithfully adapting like the darker aesthetic, like when it comes to like drawing the characters from the Attack on Titan manga than Wit was. And like that's not a knock on Wit, because like they did a very good job in the 3 seasons that they produced for Attack on Titan. It's just that like, you know, when it comes time for like these shifts to happen, you know, it's not that they don't have faith in themselves, they just think like, oh, this is better in the hands of somebody or of some studio that knows how to like capture this aesthetic better than we do, you know?
Yeah, it's not like I don't think Mappa will do it well thing. I just think that Mappa has so much stuff to do. It's like between like Vinland Saga, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man. They're also doing like a Mari Okada original movie. I don't know exactly what it is.
Really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not. It doesn't have a release date yet, but apparently they're doing it. And then they're also doing. I don't know what this is. I don't know if Bobby knows what it is, but it's like some manga, Hell's Paradise.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they're doing the adaptation for that too. Again, that doesn't have a release date either. But point is, these are things that like seem pretty high profile-ish.
Absolutely.
And
it's a lot on their plate for sure. And like I think
probably
in
different
a lot of ways,
though.
like I think so too. Like I think Mappa has definitely been splitting up workload and depending on projects.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah,
we can only hope.
Absolutely. Because like, you know, we had this situation where you know, they managed to do Titan and Dance Dance Dancer in 1 year, right? Like, and those are like two completely different those are two completely different shows. And they managed to do both like at least decently. In the case of Titan and Dance Dance Dancer, I think was like damn near a fucking masterpiece. So you know, it's like crazy, like both Mappa and Wit are like kind of goats, like at this point, like and part of the reason that they both grew into the goats that they are is because of this weird relationship where Wit is willing to kind of give Mappa the shows that they don't feel like they align with as much. It's like really interesting story to me. But we do actually
it's interesting because like that what that type of thing does is that like, you know, if you like get invested into like Attack on Titan or Vinland Saga, you're going to be experiencing like both of the studios, like regardless, as long as you commit to like going through the series. Like and like that's a very good thing, because like, you know, like we said before, like most people like associate like, you know, a lot of like the good qualities of any given show like with the studio, and both of these series like seem to be like, you know, very like indicative of like the strengths of both the studios that work on it. And it's one of the ways to like be introduced to like two of like, you know, what we call like the gilded studios, and that's pretty cool to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we actually got a PV for you guys for Vinland.
Yeah, this is the reason why we were talking about
last week, actually, right?
Yeah.
Dropped last week, so you know, pretty fresh off the presses. So it's actually a longer PV this time around. So,
good, because it's a new studio working on it. We can kind of like see what's different.
Absolutely.
なんだよ。もう終わりか。立てよ。何人かなんて覚えちゃいない。5つか6つくらいの頃から戦場にいた。俺は戦士だった。昔、俺の住んでた村に2度兵隊が来た。あいつらは人の皮をかぶったけだものだ。
今度こそ男たちの嵐から子供を守らなければなりません。
差別を好む者はどこにでもいるが、そうでない者もいる。くじけるなよ、二人とも。
俺はイングランドに行くぜ。近いうちに必ずな。こんなど田舎で一生終わってたまるかよ。
人には得て増えてがあるのだ。人間、身に合った場所におるのが一番良い。
違うぞ親父。こいつは始まりだ。敵は強いぜ。
探しておるのです。奴隷になった友人の息子を。
これから覚えていけばいい。一つ一つ。空っぽなら何でも入るじゃろ。生まれ変わるつもりがあるなら、むしろ空っぽの方がいい。
おれ見ろトルフィン。お前の体は生きたいって言ってるぞ。
生きたいのか。俺は生きてどうするんだ。
進むがよい。3点に至るにはまだ屍が足りぬ。
笑いたくば笑うがいい。すべては失われた愛のためだ。
Yeah, and it's really soon. Also, accidental click. That was almost insane. But yeah, really soon. Actually, like coming up next season. And yeah, I think it's gonna be one of the more anticipated shows of 2023 for sure.
Thorkel the goat.
Thorkel is the goat. That's facts. No,
I'll do my best. I'll do my best to be there.
He is the goat. No, that's facts. He's batshit insane.
Yeah, dude, that guy's a freak. That's a fucking freak.
That's definitely a fact. Okay, and then we got. Oh yeah, this is another really cool one, which was recent and also kind of unexpected. Link Click.
Last thing on the docket.
Season 2 coming in 2023. So we get the announcement that it exists. The announcement that it is next year.
We knew it was going to exist for a long time. Like okay, so here's the thing. So if you don't know what Link Click is, like TLDR, it is like one of the more unique time travel shows in like recent years. I would definitely like just recommend it on that virtue. and it's also like a Chinese-made anime made by Chinese studios, and Chinese voice actors, like the whole shebang. And like just from my experience, it is like extremely impressive. And if anybody like on this cast like hasn't watched it, I would definitely like add that to your to the pledge.
I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make this document. This is like a thing I'm actually doing. I'm making it. It's gonna be a table. We're gonna.
I'm kind of fucking scared.
We're gonna limit it so it can only be like 3 shows at a time per person.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's really like a mystery of the week type show. Like it's very good at like that mystery, like thriller, like time travel, like combining like all of those elements together, and it's something that I really haven't seen done this way before. And because this is a spring 2021 series when it originally aired, and we got an announcement that a continuation was happening pretty soon after that. But the news regarding that has been like almost zero since then, which was like no and like at this point it's like more than like a year and a half like out when we haven't like got any news of it. But just yesterday we got the announcement that it is indeed coming next year sometime. We don't have a season, but we know it's coming in 2023. We got a key visual and we got a preview, and like it. You can just tell like from this key visual that it looks a little different from most anime, and I think like that's kind of like the style.
Cool,
you can tell, like I can tell, like well, I mean, well, without being disrespectful, like it like when you tell me it's a Chinese, it's a Chinese anime, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I can see that, like in the kid, like there's definitely like it stands out stylistically. From like most other styles that I think we're so used to seeing the Japanese animation style that like we can kind of pick it apart. Like when we see like this, obviously something's different here about about it as opposed to like most shows that we watch. And I can't stress the importance of shows like Link Click, and to a similar vein, right? Like Summertime Render, right? Because when you write narratives involving time travel, there's so much potential for things to get really messy, nonsensical, for things to go back on the rules created by its own world, right? And to me, right, that's super egregious, right? In terms of direction, in terms of, are you trying to write a proper story? Absolutely hate it when shows do time travel and then they're lazy about it, or they don't cover their tracks, or they make up nonsensical plot devices to like kind of push a narrative. I hate that shit, right? Tokyo Revengers. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
honestly, like just trying to describe this to like people who haven't like seen the show, like I wouldn't even like say like time travel is like a central like thing that you need to worry about. It's really like it's like a vignette style show where like it's episodic, and it tells like the story of like a new character either every episode or like every like few episodes that are maybe like 2 or 3 episodes long. But it's a lot of like these like mini stories where like time travel is just like the vehicle that you take to get to those stories. It's super cool. Like I honestly like can't recommend it like enough. Like I think it's like super different, and a lot of people, like even if you're like not really like into like time travel as like a concept, you'll find it like very interesting. And,
like, the general like gist, like to be like quick and not say like too much, is that like they have the 2 leads have like abilities to like enter photos, and like that's like kind of, and they solve like little mini problems that are like usually like 1 to 2, maybe 3 episodes long. And it builds, obviously it has to have like some type of like thing that is not just episodic, so it builds to like one big thing. But that's what makes it fun, because like when you try to do like 12 straight episodes like time travel, there's just a good chance you're gonna fuck something up along the way. Like
I feel that.
True.
Definitely.
But yeah, we can watch the preview. I think it's only available like on Twitter, so you can just watch it from here.
It's no big deal.
Hello.
Whoops.
Oh, there we go.
Rewind a little bit.
You like that?
Run it back.
小伙子，你在这里编故事，只会浪费时间。
我说的都是事实。 我真的没有持刀伤人。那个自称朋友的人，他能控制别人行凶，流民也是被他操控的。我还亲眼看到他控制了艾玛跳桥。
你为什么会在现场？
我能不能帮忙联系到肖队？我要跟他解释。
不是能不能，而是必须不惜一切代价把他那台手机给我抢回来。
刘民又进医院了，去问一下是哪家。我们现在过去。
没有闻到了其他的味道。
Like already, there's some pretty impressive animation segments in that.
Yeah. Contrary to what that preview might have made you think, this is not an action show.
No, it's not.
Yeah, like the main like merits of the show is definitely like its gripping narrative and the way it like tells its short stories. But I don't know if that's going to change with the second season because it kind of like left off like at a point where like it definitely implies that there is something bigger going on with the show, which might deviate from its original like episodic structure, but only time will tell. But I just know that I'm pretty optimistic about this series. I would highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out already. And if you can check it out, because I obviously like something Chinese anime might be a little hard to get a hold of now. But if you can, if you know where to look, you know, don't try.
Well, no, it was on Funimation.
Was it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was.
Is it on Crunchyroll now?
Is it?
I don't know. Well,
I guess not.
Yeah,
I watched it on
Funimation.
Funimation.
CR.
Oh wait. Let's watch. Wait, let's see.
Is it on CR? I don't know. It doesn't say anything.
I watched it on Funimation.
Oh, the page like isn't loading all the way.
Refresh.
Okay,
Yeah.
weird. Oh yeah, it is on CR.
There it
It
is.
looks like.
Click on it. I want to see. Because like sometimes like they have like these links and they're not actually there.
Looks like they're
Oh,
here.
it is. Oh wait,
That's
French
the French
dub.
dub.
French
Does
dub.
it
You
have,
can drop down. Yeah, it looks like.
Do they not have?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I was
it's
about to
the
say.
real
I was like, do they not have the original?
Yeah, it's the real one. It's there. It's there.
All right, well, it's on Crunchyroll, so
There you
now
go.
it's easier to get a hold of.
There you go. Easy to access for you guys to catch up. There
And
you go.
if you want to watch it in French, you can.
Yeah, French.
Yo,
and,
French dubs are actually pretty good. I think French voice actors are actually pretty good. I don't speak
agree.
French at all, but
Actually,
I've heard it and I like how it sounds.
Yeah. I
Takahiro
actually
Sakurai.
agree. I actually agree with that sentence.
Takahiro Sakurai voices one of the leads in the Japanese. I didn't watch the Japanese, but I just know he does.
There you go.
Yeah.
I watched
This AniList lists like the Japanese voice actors, but like the default way to watch this is the original like Chinese voice actors, which
Yeah.
you could hear from like that trailer. Like if you're used to like just watching Japanese subs, like it definitely sounds very different.
Yeah.
And
No,
something that
I
you're
noticed
like,
immediately. Yeah. I definitely.
I would definitely recommend watching it in its original like Chinese dub.
Yeah.
If I had to give you one, I think that's like the most like authentic way to experience this show.
Mhm.
And it, you know, it respects where it comes from too, because there's not many Chinese anime that get this level of recognition and also like quality, because the show is very, very good.
It's true. It is definitely true. And okay, so before I actually wanted to bring this up before we ended, because that is the last of the topics that we had. We actually, it was like, yeah, we filled 2 hours with that. That was actually pretty solid. That was actually pretty solid. But there is a
reasonable podcast
bro,
challenge.
crazy, right? But there were some shows that started late. This season that I just one in particular that I wanted to bring up, because I'm actually gonna be watching the first episode of this today. I haven't started it yet, but when we did the sampler episode, it was I think we said it was a gacha adaptation. But when we watched the PV, we were like, wait a minute, this actually looks like kind of good. It actually looks kind of good, which is contrary to so many gacha adaptations before it. At this point, I like I said, we're gonna be watching this during the viewing today. I think if I remember correctly, Jeffrey, you watched episode 1, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Any thoughts?
Like going into this, like the one thing that we said we wanted the show to do is to fool us into thinking that it wasn't a gacha adaptation. And I can say that I think that the first episode was stellar, honestly.
Okay.
The thing about like gotcha adaptations, and that like, you know, a lot of people see them as like, you know, very pandery to the existing audience. And in many cases, like that doesn't like make for a good anime. If they're just trying to like please fans of like a completely like, you know, different media source. But the direction and character acting of this episode was like really like up to snuff with like what I would like expect from a quality anime. And I also want to like say, and I can say this is not really a spoiler, but if the full series is gonna like be like this episode, like it'll probably be like a quality show. And as a cool tidbit, it's actually like made in widescreen. I noticed, as opposed to like the regular like 16:9. It's like it's like 2.39 by 1, which is like the widescreen like theatrical aspect ratio. And like I'm not gonna say
I think we noticed that during the
not,
PV too, didn't we? Yeah, I think we talked about how that was kind of weird, but
but like that kind of like got me thinking like this, like I'm not gonna say it's like movie quality, but like it's definitely like something like beyond like what I would ever expect from a gotcha adaptation. Because like I said, the character acting was like very good. Like the first scene is literally like a perspective thing, and it just like highlights like what the show is probably like going to do like pretty well. I don't want to spoil like much if we're gonna like watch it later, but just know that like for like on a first episode basis, I was fooled into thinking this wasn't a gotcha adaptation. And
that's a good sign. That's a really good sign.
If it can continue that, I will have no qualms, and I will be able to like evaluate the show with not any like preconceived bias, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Yeah, so if you guys want to try it as well, it's called Arknight's Reimei Zenso. It is only 8 episodes, so like it's pretty short.
Yeah, it'll end at the same time everything else is ending.
Yeah, even though it started like, you know, pretty late. The only other thing that starts late is like Boat Girl. It starts next week, and then in a few weeks Isekai OG-san comes back. But which should be that'll be. I'm really looking forward to Isekai OG-san coming back. It is you know, we're almost in November. Like where'd the year go, man? It really crazy.
True, bro.
It just
I gotta get my One Piece tickets. Holy moly!
You better hurry up, bro. I don't know. Do they like? I imagine, because I don't think I've ever gone to see. I don't think I've ever gone to see a shonen movie in theaters. I guess I technically went to see the Dragon Ball Super movie in theaters, but that was after that wasn't like on like opening night or anything like that. Do they ever like, are they ever in danger of like selling out super quick?
I watched
in the States, or
that has like been a concern in the past, but this One Piece movie is airing for like a week.
Oh, okay.
Like every day for like a week.
I see.
I mean, I think I'll be fine.
I watched Mugen Train, and like it was like a full theater, but it wasn't like, you know, full to the, like it wasn't packed, you know, like there were still seats.
Yeah.
So, but that's because like probably the same thing. It's like Mugen Train was airing for a few days or for a while.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of. Hopefully, you have fun watching your One Piece. I'm gonna be at home, catching up on one of these. So many things to catch up on.
All right, so on this document Khalil made, I'm gonna say the first 25 episodes of One Piece, and the next time I'm gonna do the next.
My god!
26 of One Piece.
This document's gonna get no. This document's gonna get super out of hand when Dylan gets his hands on.
Oh no! No. His hand is like reaching out like from the abyss, like trying to drag us down, bro. It's like, you will know my pain.
Like, and what God, why is it like this? But
all right, so here I have Infinite Stratos, and
oh my god!
I mean, where like Dylan has like a whole list of things, and it's like that VeggieTales thing. Like, allow us to introduce ourselves.
True. That is definitely a fact. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this experimental episode of the Anime Sovereigns. Hopefully you guys like the format. It's definitely it's new for us. I'm sure it's new for the audience as well.
I feel like we could do this type of thing like when there is a lot of things to talk about. It's not really something like we do like on a monthly basis, or even like if there's something to talk about, like then we could just talk about it. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's like, it's also really cool because you know, when we do like our deep dives, you know, our conversations are like really in depth, and we're like bouncing ideas off of each other the entire time and whatnot. And so sometimes it feels like there isn't as much room for like the audience to kind of get involved, because we're like we go on very long about some of these ideas. But like these episodes in particular, like there's a lot of opportunity for them to jump in, because these are like topical, like they're very current, they're very recent, like, you know, people can kind of offer input. So I think there's definitely value in it for sure. Before we sign off, once again, right, make sure if you haven't already, you join our Discord. I will put the link in the chat and the description. I almost copy pasted Takahiro Sakurai's name into the chat. This is why you always check. This is always why you always check your paste. All right, you always check your paste before you click send. Make sure you guys join up in there. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Twitter and subscribe to us on YouTube. I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube right now and you haven't subscribed. Like, what are you doing? Like, really crazy.
Man, what are you doing?
Really insane out here, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, actually, before the last thing is the weekly viewing is today. That's gonna be at 5 Eastern. And so, like, if you're caught up on this season's shows and you want to watch the most recent of a bunch of different shows that we're watching, that's going to be in Discord at 5, including this new Arknights episode, because I have not seen it yet. So we'll be watching that when the time comes. I definitely hope that a bunch of you decide to you know, watch with us. That's pretty much it from us, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys had fun.
yeah, this was fun. I like doing this.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys next time. I mean, if nothing goes wrong and people wake up on time, hint,
Miguel,
we should see you in 2 weeks, unless something crazy happens. But you just really never know nowadays. But until next time, friends, take it easy. You have a great day.
Laters.
Take it easy.